Hello, everyone. We are so excited for another episode. And today I have with me Sandra Cooze. She is a certified trauma healer. She's an intuitive mentor and coach. She also is a published author for Journey to Yourself, How to Heal from Trauma. And she is a Reiki Master and teacher. She designed the Divine Ancestral Healing Method, which we're going to talk more about today, and the Trauma Reiki system. After healing her own trauma, Sandra developed a multi-modality trauma healing approach that helps her clients not only to fully release trauma, triggers, PTSD, but also supports them in reclaiming their lives and discovering who they truly are. So, Sandra, so excited to have you today, and I'm excited for our discussions moving forward.
Thank you so much for having me, Macy. I'm really excited.
Yes. So tell me a little bit more, because I remember in the bio that you sent me, you had mentioned that trauma is not a death sentence or not a life sentence. Tell me a little
Yes.
bit more about what that means to you and your traumas that you've been through.
Well, what it means to me is that for the longest time, my own trauma has been keeping me stuck in a box. I was afraid to go out. I was afraid to try new things. I was protecting myself. What we do when we're traumatized, we try to eliminate everything from our life that could possibly trigger us.
Mhm.
But the thing is, at some point, everything will trigger you. And then you remove going out. You only stay home. Then someone is calling you and you jump because you're startled and you have no control over who's calling you. So then this is a trigger, not knowing who it is, the unknown who is calling,
Mhm.
which I guess is less so in this day and age with our cell phones. But when you had the regular phones, the old ones, you didn't know who was calling,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
So trauma is like we put ourselves in a prison because we're afraid of facing it and letting it go. So opening the prison cell and facing what makes us afraid and then move past that and live the most beautiful life ever because we cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel because we're so stuck in trauma. So that's why I say trauma is not a life sentence. Open that freaking door
Yeah.
and heal.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because again, so many people think that, we're kind of stuck in that space. Even as a trauma healer myself and the work that I do with my
Mm.
clients, it's like this is just how it is. This is how it's going to be. It doesn't have to be. Like there are ways
That's
out of
right.
this. And so being on the other side, being on the healed side, let's look at it from that perspective. How much
Hmm.
freer is it for you? Like what are some things that you've noticed different?
Well, it's amazing. Nothing is holding you back. And whenever you grow and evolve, you will always reach that glass ceiling where your limiting beliefs and your self-sabotaging behavior comes back again and you have to push through it again. But you know what to expect, and every time it's getting easier and you reach your new goals and heights much faster. Whereas with trauma, there is no heights because you keep yourself stuck where it is because it's safe. It's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't know.
Mm,
Well, I used to be at the point where I was like, nah, I don't want to. And now I'm like, here's a blockage, bring it on.
yeah,
Like, I'm not afraid. Let's do this so that I can rise even higher.
yeah,
And once my clients get to this point where they first see that light at the end of the tunnel, that switch where they start to feel lighter, the glow comes back into your eyes, it's the most beautiful moment.
yeah.
When they release the hurdle and now it's getting easier.
That's so true. And trauma's an onion. I tell so many people, like, even my client, like, it's an onion. There's layers behind it. Even if you get past one of those layers, like, that's worth
Mhm.
celebrating because we're not getting triggered by those things. What are some of the traumas that you've been through in your life that we can kind of relate to some of the people here and some of our listeners?
Hmm. Well, it started when I was 12. I was molested. Then at the age of 14, I was sexually harassed. Between the age of 16 and 17, I was bullied in school from almost the whole class.
Mm,
Then between 19 and 25, I was sexually assaulted multiple times. At 22, I was raped. Then when I went to see a psychologist a couple of years after I was raped, he dismissed me, my intake session, with the words, "I believe you already worked through it all. What am I supposed to do?" That's in a nutshell. Yes.
So let me ask you this. You're a psychologist. Were we doing like cognitive talk therapy? What kind of modalities were they working you through, or were you fully healed on the other side?
I have absolutely no clue what he was doing because he only let me talk in our intake session and then decided, because I was not sitting there bawling my eyes out, that I'm fine. So he was not trauma informed, which is still a big issue today.
Yeah.
So I hit rock bottom after this because friends dismissed me, family didn't know how to help me, the medical professionals completely dismissed me. So it was me against the world, basically, me against my trauma. And the beautiful thing with rock bottom is that you have two choices. You can either stay down and exist, or you decide to climb back out. Well, I didn't know how, but I decided to climb back out, and I guess I did pretty good.
Well, you're on the healed side. What did you do to start climbing out?
It was a decision that I didn't like the life that I was living, and I don't know, I was never the person who was prone to falling into drugs or alcohol abuse. That was never who I was. So, and I think I was just too stubborn. I'm Leo, so I'm stubborn by default. And I guess I wasn't done with life.
I am a Leo. Don't say that we are not stubborn. Any listeners, Leos out there, we are not stubborn. We just do things in our own fashion.
Well, I'm stubborn and I'm proud of it.
And you prove to yourself also that you are that resilient lion.
Yes.
Because, and it's, I mean, anybody who has that decision made of this is what I'm going to do, that's what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, walk me through some of your steps though, because I know you were taking different steps for yourself and how you were able to heal through a lot of the traumas.
Well, the funny thing about healing is you only realize how much you've healed when you stop and look back, how far you've come. So while I was in the healing journey, I didn't even know what I was doing was healing. I had two pivotal moments in my healing journey that really gave me clues of what to do without realizing it was healing. The first was very spiritual. So I had a friend and he was very spiritual. His father was a Reiki master. That was about the time when I had no clue about crystals or Reiki or energy or anything like that. So one day he saw me sitting on my couch, like a heap of misery, put his hands on his hips, looked at me with a stern face and said, "Get a quartz crystal already." And I had no idea what he was talking about. But I did what he asked and meditated with it when I went to bed, even though I had no clue what meditation was. So I basically just held it in my hands. And that's it until I fell asleep. But I've noticed different sensations in my hand as I was holding the crystal. At first, nothing. Then it got warm. Then another night, I didn't know where my hand ended and the crystal began. Then I felt like a twirling in my hand, which was the opening of the hand chakra, which of course I didn't know back then, but now I do. And I started feeling lighter when I woke up in the morning. So like it's like a heavy blanket was lifted. I wasn't healed by any ways, but I was feeling better. The doom and gloom was gone. I was more outgoing, more happy than before, more outspoken. So I got my voice back. And that was the one aspect, which was the beginning of my healing journey and my introduction to spirituality, which has become a huge aspect of my work today. The other moment came from my last boyfriend before I met my husband. Before that, I should say that I sabotaged each and every relationship I ever had. So if you've ever seen the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, that was me. Always. So what he gave me the clue as to why. And I'm so grateful for him that he did that. When he was breaking up with me, he told me that he was just married to a woman with mental issues. He didn't want to be dating one. He stated a fact. It was not mean or anything, really just a fact. And that evening I was sitting down and I was thinking about what he said. And for the first time, I was looking at myself in relation to the relationships. I mean, when you're dealing with deep trauma, all you want is like the knight in shining armor that comes and rescues you because you're looking for love, but at the same time, you feel unworthy of it.
Yeah.
And this inner vicious cycle is what always, yeah, makes relationships break apart after 2 months because at some point you start calling all the time. You have doubts. You think, what is he doing when he's not there? And yeah, that was me. Bad and worse. But he made me look at myself and really analyze myself and what I do in relationships. And I started to see a pattern. Like once everything was great, and as soon as it got a little more serious, it's like I flipped a switch. And that night, I decided that I was not going to go into another relationship until I liked the person that I want to be in a relationship.
Oh,
So
yes.
I must have done something right because 3 months later, I met my husband, and we are now married for 21 years.
Oh, I love
So,
that.
yes, so a little decision like that can have such a profound impact because
Yeah.
it's all about decisions that start to open up the road we want to go to.
Well,
It's
I
like
think,
opening the prison cell.
yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what I was going to say is on the spiritual side of things, you're opening up those neural pathways. Like when you stop limiting yourself and I can't, okay, but like, I can't because, or whatever the excuses are, and you switch
Mm-hmm.
it over to okay, but how can I do this? What are some options? What are some ways? That's when you can start opening up neural pathways to say, oh, but what I do desire does exist and I can create
Mm-hmm.
that. And I love that you also mentioned you had to become the person that you wanted to marry or be with. And
Yes.
so healing, even I did the same thing. And I tell a lot of my clients the same. Like, if you're wanting to attract that partner that you desire, or even in your marriage and you're wanting to heal it, you're wanting to grow it, become the person that you desire to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to bring that attraction. Because if you're, we get I have a lot of ladies who have had issues in different, marriages. They've been through abuse, they've been through the whole nine yards. And they're like, man, same relationship. It's like every single time. And I miss the red flags. Well, at one point you talk about doubt kicking in, that doubt kicks in and you're looking for it everywhere. Show me what
Mm-hmm.
it's confirmation bias. Show me what isn't going to be. Keep showing me that it's not going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll keep creating shit that it's not going to be,
Yeah.
you know? And trauma
Mm-hmm.
triggers work the same way until you go inward.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
So,
really, anything that triggers us in a relationship is really a trigger mostly from childhood.
yeah.
So
What
it's
are
always
some
about triggers.
what are some of the common triggers that you even see with your clients or even that you remember with yourself? What were some of the common triggers or the common wounds that you notice come up?
Well, one classic wound is the throat chakra. Not being able to speak, being afraid to speak your mind because when you speak your mind, someone doesn't love you anymore, or you lose that person if you speak up.
Yeah.
So setting boundaries and reclaiming our voice is one of the most common triggers that I work with my clients. And it's amazing to see once they say no for the first time, they're terrified. But after that, it's like a snowball effect. Like it becomes more and more and more. And before you know it, they're constantly speaking their mind and don't even realize that they're doing that.
Yeah.
So then I have to tell them, okay, so do you realize what you just did? You told that person off that you were so afraid of for years. Look back where you used to be and look where you are now. Because once the trigger is released, it's not there anymore. So your body automatically adjusts to the new you.
Yeah. And it shifts everything, even on a DNA level, a cellular level, everything's
Mm-hmm.
shifting. I remember talking about boundaries. I remember the first time I was like, I'm going to set this boundary. I'm going to walk away when, these words or these phrases are used, and I'm just going to walk away. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember how hard it was. It was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do
Yes.
this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I did it. And I was like, the power that you feel whenever you
Mm-hmm.
do that, you're like, oh, I reclaim myself.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know. It used to be the same for me. And now I hold everybody accountable.
Yeah.
I don't even stop to think. It just comes out naturally because I expect that from other people that they hold themselves accountable as I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is it. Because what do you expect? How do you expect from yourself? If you expect from yourself that you're putting out more or you're living this higher standard, that has to apply to everybody that you are
Very true.
circling yourself with. Because if not, you just lowered your standards.
Yes. And
Yeah.
what I always tell my clients is you teach people how to treat you. So
Yeah.
if you always stay quiet, then they think it's okay. So you have to set boundaries. Of course, they don't like it
Yeah.
because it was always okay and suddenly it isn't. Doesn't matter. Push through. They will learn. And if not, they will navigate out of your life.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
Good riddance. So how did you come into doing Reiki? Like what set that? I know you had the crystal. What kind of brought you to the next step of I'm gonna go do some Reiki or I'm gonna go look into it?
Well, I let's say when I was 14, I remember one day I was looking down at my hands and I thought, I am supposed to do something with them. Like I had this suddenly connection with my hands.
Okay.
Didn't know what that meant. Then one day my dad had bad carpal tunnel. And then I was like, let me try something. And I just held my hand over it, not knowing what I was doing was actual Reiki. His pain was gone and my hand was on fire.
Mhm.
So he was startled. He never let me do that again, but it helped. Then another time, a friend of mine who was living further away was having a cat with an abscess, so her cheek was swollen. I was like, let me try something. And I just imagined I was holding my hand over the cat, even though she was like miles away, and the swelling came down. So that was before I knew what I was doing or that it's actually a thing. Then growing up in Germany, Germany is still very religious, you don't do energy. They're getting better. But when I left, it was still very, no, that's magic. We don't want that.
Yeah.
So when I then came to Canada, people were more open. So in here, I really had the ability to explore who I was becoming. And one day I was having a visit from a friend. She also had carpal tunnel, and I did the same thing with my hand. And she was like, well, what you're doing looks a lot like Reiki. I was like, what is that? And she explained to me a little bit what this is, like healing and energy and stuff. And I was like, interesting. Do you know anyone who could teach me? She was like, yep. 2 months later, I was a second degree. And then 3 months later, I was a master. No, I would not recommend that so close together because I really struggled with all the energy to get used to it. But my body was pushing me like, you need this right now. Like the pull was unbelievable. The interesting thing was after my first attunement, I felt like I was coming home after a long journey. So I
Mm.
really connected with this. After the second attunement, I felt like I was naked. I felt the sun stronger, the wind more, and I actually looked down on myself because I really thought I was naked. That's how I felt all the sensations. So something must have been lifting from my body, like protection blanket, whatever. And after the master attunement, I came home and my cat was moving around my legs for at least half an hour, meowing like crazy. So every time there was something that happened because of it. Very
Mm.
interesting. And that's now, it was 2010 that I studied Reiki for the first time. And I can't imagine living without it. I use
Yeah.
it all the time. I use it with clients. I designed my own system.
Yep.
And
I want to ask
yes,
you
it's
questions about it. So, so did you start Reiki though for the intention of healing yourself or was it mostly for others?
it was mostly for others.
Okay.
And since I was doing my Reiki classes so close together, I never had the time to do the 21-day self Reiki.
Yeah.
And so I struggled with the self healing aspect, like connecting to your energy and allowing myself to heal from myself. That was difficult, but
Yeah.
it was first and foremost for others. And yeah, it was also the beginning of my whole trauma healing journey.
Yeah. I always get curious to connect with other people and ask them, like, was this mostly for you? Because I remember even going down my own journey of doing energy healing and everything. At first, it was just me. It was like, fix me. But then it was like, wait a minute, I can do this for other people. Like
Mm-hmm.
we can heal trauma in this way. And I work, alongside nutrition and, body and organs and everything like that. So it's really interesting how, I mean, energy is as simple as, just for you listeners out there, you hug somebody and you feel this is happy and a joyful hug, or oh my God, are you okay? Like, do you need help with something? Like, our bodies are designed to read each other before the thoughts become the thing in the brain. How
Yes.
your nervous system was designed. So it was designed by purpose, by God, our creator, to be able to pick up on these things. And so I think it's really interesting, listening to other healers and the way that they heal and everything. And just the route that they took. Is it for you? Was it for somebody else? Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you'll kind of like this. It's like, oh no, it was me last. I wanted to help other people. And you never know, where that is. So I love that. So your method, did you learn this from like experiences of practicing? How did you develop your own method?
Well, it was actually kind of all over the place, a little bit here and a little bit there. So first I started with Reiki. And I used to have a business called Serafina Faye, where I was making healing jewelry and doing tarot reading. So like the spiritual stepping stone, let's put it this way. Many spiritual healers started out this way. First hide behind the jewelry and the cards, and then when they're ready to put themselves out there as with their gifts and what they can actually do, then it shifts. So when I first did Reiki, I had some clients, and after each session, I always sat down with them and talked and just chatted to make sure they were grounded, everything was okay, and they had questions about the session, things like that. And then they always started opening up to me about their trauma and their troubles. Like I didn't encourage that, they just did. And I always knew instinctively what they needed to hear in order to bring understanding to what was going on. So get that aha moment, which means that rise in consciousness, where they understand that issue. And at some point, I realized that what I was doing was trauma coaching. And then, of course, I decided to go and study coaching, just to have a degree behind it, even though I hardly use anything from what I studied from coaching in what I do now.
Yeah.
But I guess I have the diploma. So then I came across a modality called traumatic incident reduction, TIR, which is the most amazing trauma healing modality no one has ever heard about. Basically, that's because it was designed around the same time as EMDR. EMDR got all the funding, TIR got nothing. But it's truly amazing because it helps you release trauma so quickly, so gentle. It's a gentle guidance through the deepest, darkest times of your life, in a nutshell. Then, as I went through this modality, and I use it with my clients when there's really intense trauma. Extreme intense, where we have to be gentle and start to coax it out of them in an easier and lighter way, then I use TIR. But usually I use trauma coaching, and I always tell my clients, well, you know what? I don't sugarcoat things. I'm very direct. So if I'm too intense, let me know. I'll tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But so far, no one complained. Anyway, so after I got the TIR and the Reiki, I was like, now what? So we healed the trauma. Now what? The healing journey isn't done yet. Because now you have to learn to live without the trauma, recalibrate your life, and then comes the limiting belief, the self-sabotaging behavior, and then comes what we were brought up with. So the generational ancestral issues, societal issues. So we basically have to take ourselves out of society, become an individual, heal all the wounds, and then get back into society as a healed person. And I don't like to question now what. So born was the divine ancestral healing, where I go into the ancestral line through the Akashic records to release the trauma that is there that is still holding us back. So, for example, money blocks is a big issue that comes from trauma surrounding money, usually ancestral and our past lives, sometimes karmic. usually trauma. And then the limiting beliefs and the self-sabotaging behavior all comes from the ancestral line, like carried down through the generations to us, through those wise words they raise us with. Like stay in your lane, work hard so you can have money to provide for your family and all of that. Where's the fun in that?
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Yes, that's a good one. Exactly. And those are all limiting beliefs that need to be unraveled. And sometimes we have to go deeper in the ancestral line to the root cause, to the first ancestor who said that and why, so that we can understand it and release it for the whole ancestral line backwards and forwards. Meaning, as we heal for our children.
Yeah.
So that our children don't have to go through what we had to go through, what our parents had to go through, great grandparents, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, that's great, but it's still not enough. And then I was working more and more with Reiki, and I noticed how I was incorporating Reiki in my coaching sessions. So basically, whenever a trigger is coming up, it's an immense amount of energy the trigger brings up. And it's usually the trigger that causes the trouble and not the thought that comes out itself. So as my clients talk through a trigger, I pull out the energy and they're calm and happy in 5 minutes. I can help someone release a PTSD attack in a matter of minutes just by using Reiki. And that's what I'm going to teach.
I love that.
Among other things. It's a huge subject, trauma Reiki, but yes, this is part of it.
Yeah. You're building a program around your steps, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And a book.
Yes, the book first. I promise it's almost done.
Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your book and who you're writing it for?
Sure. Well, the book itself, let's say right now, has a mind of its own. I had a certain idea what I wanted the book to be, but the book was like, nope, we're not finished yet. So, which means there's more chapters, more subjects adding, but it's beautiful how it's coming together. So yes, trauma Reiki is a modality that I designed and I will teach, where I will help others first understand Reiki from a whole new level. Because we're taught that Reiki is a tool outside of ourselves that we can use to help someone else. But don't say you're the healer, because that is ego and then Reiki doesn't work. That's what we've been taught. Mm-hmm. So, at least in my teachings. I don't know how it was for you, but for me. But it never sat right with me. So I was like, that's not true. You can still call yourself the healer, but you don't have to have the ego inside. It's two different things. It doesn't come from the ego, it comes from the heart. Mm-hmm. Knowing that I am here and I can help them. Yeah. Using energy to make them feel better. So I completely revamped the whole Reiki teachings and go deeper. And the first modality is not about the hand positions or anything. It's about you. So that you start to feel connected with the energy, so that you understand energy as a whole, how to use it for yourself, how to grow yourself, how to evolve. And then we go and teach you how to help others. So, because, I don't know, in my Reiki teachings, there was not enough talk about what energy really is. So these are the hand positions. These are the symbols. Have at it, basically.
Gotcha. So I remember somebody, I was in a session with somebody and they were talking about Reiki and they asked me if I did Reiki. And I was like, to be honest with you, I've never gone through any of the classes. And I think it was more so for the purpose of everything was just, it was divinely led, mm-hmm. Whether you're praying or meditating, however, you see fit for that. That's what I would do in all my sessions, like it's show me the way that I need to guide this person. What is something that they need to know about themselves that they need to heal? And I'm with you. Intention is everything. If you're going, so it kind of goes back to, and I live in the Bible Belt state. So we're all into kind of like what you said, Germany is still in the religious side of things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the world is waking up mm-hmm. a lot to God, creator, source, whatever you want to call it, and the energy of everything. We're all connected. Mm-hmm. We're all one. Again, we hug somebody and we feel different. Our brain doesn't think about what's going on, mm-hmm. Your body does, and your body does the talking. But I'm 100% in the fact, and I say this all the time, intention is everything. if you've got harmful intentions, you're going to create harmful results, period.
Yes.
If you've got pure loving intentions, you're going to create loving results. Like that is it. It's why people
Hmm.
surround themselves when they want to get out of the funk. They surround themselves with people who are not in the funk. It's that energy that just lifts overall. So, and
Hmm.
I love that you incorporate more of it's not an egotistical thing and it's not just it's a divinely led thing. You're going wherever you're supposed to be going with this and whatever you've been called to do by
Hmm.
God, creator, source, whatever you call it.
All right. And that's also part that I work on in my book because I'm taking something that sounds divine
Yeah.
and explain it through simple science, which is also very fascinating. I mean,
It is.
science is not as far as to accept Reiki for a scientific field
Yeah.
yet, but the groundwork is there because
Yeah.
physics is it's teaching energy. So
All
that's
good
the
stuff
base of
must
it.
come down.
Exactly. So, yeah. So I explained that like the law of resonance, the law of consciousness, which is still philosophical at this point, but the groundbreaking aspects are there. So I unraveled that from a more down to earth scientific aspect so we can understand that Reiki is really nothing more than simple physics. Simple. Yes. Which is
We
a very interesting subject. And it helps to understand that this is nothing unnatural, nothing magical. It's not a cult. It's not a religion. It's simply something that is.
Yeah, and has been.
Exactly. And then I go further and explain how the significance of when Yuzui received his Reiki attunement, like when he brought Reiki back to the 21st century, which is also very significant and can be proven through the Bible, history. Because when you think about it, when we look at how the Bible describes how Jesus Christ healed, he held his hand over the blind, he held his hand over the lame, and they could see and walk.
Yeah.
How is that different than Reiki? It's more advanced because we have too many waves and everything around. I don't think we could really reach that level.
Yeah.
But if that were just made up, how could Yuzui receive the Reiki attunements through his meditation?
Mhm.
So
And
there is the connection. There
Jesus
is the
did.
proof
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And Jesus did a lot of praying, a lot of meditating, a lot of
Exactly.
sitting in silence. And sometimes even
Hmm.
some scriptures, I'm like, God, I'm a little jealous because how you stay so quiet. I'm trying to figure it out. Quiet the mind, right? And sometimes
Yes.
it is
Right.
difficult. But he
Hmm.
even told us go out and be my disciples, go out and lay hands on other people. I mean, why do we do that
Hmm.
in church? Like you have to ask the
Exactly.
questions. You can't just listen
Right.
to preacher in a pulpit saying all these things. Go back to the Bible and bring it back to yourself and hear what God truly says and what God tells
Hmm.
you. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And just like in John 14:12, I think it was, when Jesus said, and I paraphrase, anyone who believes in me will do what I do, he will do what I have been doing, they will do even greater things than me. So basically, what he's saying is, if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah. For I
And
am.
that's Reiki.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I unravel in my book
I love that.
before I even go into the aspect of it being a healing modality. So this book is not just for someone who wants a new healing modality under their belt, because there are some people that collect them like, I don't know, I used to collect salt and pepper shakers and I had 100 sets at home. But this
Why?
is really a
Why?
way of,
Why?
I don't know, I just enjoyed it.
Okay. I don't know if there was something different
It
about
was
each
filling a
one.
void when I needed
Okay.
it. I don't have that many anymore. I sold most of them because I healed that part that
Okay.
needed an outside joy. But yeah,
Interesting.
so this is really for people who try to understand Reiki from a deeper level, who want to understand trauma in terms of energy, because trauma has its own vibration. And I talk a lot about frequency and vibration because of physics, right? So, and I put trauma into the perspective of physics and energy and vibration,
Yeah.
to really help them understand what really happens in the body as we heal.
Mhm.
Because we think of it from the story, we don't think of it as a vibrational level.
Yeah.
And the trauma actually gives us the opportunity to rise in consciousness. Because the more you heal, the higher you rise. It's like the more you heal, the happier you feel.
Yes.
Happiness is higher vibration.
Yes.
And sadness, despair is low vibration. It keeps us down, and the legs are heavy and we can't get out of it. But as we start to heal, we rise in consciousness, we rise in vibration. I try to explain what consciousness means in terms of evolution and frequency, which is complicated because I have all those thoughts in my head, but they don't form sentences. It's like energetically I know what to say, but there are no words for that. This is always funny when I sit in front of my book and try to write.
Yeah.
But yes, so it's a book for everybody who are interested in Reiki, who would like to learn more about the new modality that really helps trauma on a whole new level. So yeah, so it's not for just one person, it's for all kinds, whoever feels drawn to it.
I love that.
Even though it's called Trauma Reiki Awaken the Healer Within.
Yeah.
But it's for everybody.
And I love that you're also saying in this, and what I'm hearing you say is we all have the ability to heal ourselves.
Yes.
And to live in those higher vibrations. I mean, think about it. You can't be sad and joyful at the same time.
No.
You're focusing on one energy or the other, one emotion.
Right.
Emotions are just energy in motion. It's why you feel them in different parts of your body. It's why if we close our eyes and we just say the word stress, you're going to pinpoint in your body where you're feeling those things.
Yep.
Because
exactly.
It's a stress energy, and it's going to lead you to where those complicated parts are. But what's hidden underneath the word stress is what you're saying, that, we're focusing on the healing.
Yes, exactly. Because stress is just like anger. Anger is just a mask, and so is stress. What's underneath is important.
I love that. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. What's one tip that you want to share right now? One applicable tip that we can give to our audience who might be struggling in this moment?
Well, the easiest would be to say trauma is not a life sentence, but even though it's powerful, it doesn't really help many people. Well, I would say don't be afraid. Whatever you feel inside, you're feeling because it wants to be seen, it wants to be heard, so it can leave. So whenever you say, nope, I don't want to feel you, you're pushing it back down, and then it comes back up because more is added to it. So yes, we don't want to feel negative emotions, but we only have negative emotions because something needs healing. So if you could invite those negative emotions into your life and let them speak, you will see how quickly they release simply because you gave them a voice.
Oh, I love that. And it's giving your trauma a voice that it never had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trauma is just the aspect of you that's hurting.
Yeah. And just like you talked about in the beginning, the throat chakra, that's the number one because it's been silenced.
Yes.
That's circle. We came full circle on this podcast today.
Yes, we did.
Well, perfect.
A wholesome session.
Yes.
A wholesome interview.
It was great. Thank you for being here. Before we go, tell people where they can find you and how they can get connected with you, do some sessions with you.
Sure. You can find me first and foremost through my website, riseaboveyourstory.com. There's a little button at the very top to book a free consultation. So we can chat, get to know each other, see if you feel comfortable with me, which is very important. Then you can find me on Facebook under Rise Above Your Story. I'm on LinkedIn sometimes under Sandra Cooze. And you can send me an email under sandra@riseaboveyourstory.com. My book is on Amazon, and the easiest way to find me is look for my name because it's not a bestseller, so it's not on top of the list. Okay. But don't make it easier.
Perfect. This next one will be. It's going to be a bestseller. I'm believing it.
I'm counting on it. Yes.
We're believing with you. Now you have the audience listening. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today. Guys, she's amazing. She's definitely in the same space. If you've been following me for trauma healing, you definitely want to go follow her because she's definitely got some amazing work that she does and what she puts out and how she supports the community as well. And just like we talked about, you have the ability to heal yourself. You just need the right tools. And I think sometimes those tools aren't always given so easily. So that's the purpose of having this podcast as well, is to show you guys you have alternate routes. You have different places that you can go. So thank you so much, Sandra, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Macy. It was wonderful.
Yes, ma'am. And y'all go through the description, get connected with her, do a session, do a consultation. Her energy is amazing. I mean, we're Leos, can't help it. But we're all connected and we will catch you guys on the flip side.